I'll talk about the concept of samskaras. And the samskara is impression that is formed within us. Suppose, say, somebody is using a phone, and say we have a device and we have visited a particular website. Say, suppose somebody has, have any of you heard this small thing that is there in Mumbai? Everybody all over the world has heard about it. You people who don't know. I was in Phoenix at an airport and I landed. There was a Nigerian woman. So when I travel, I use a wheelchair assistant. So there was a Nigerian woman with a wheelchair assistant, and she started speaking to me in Hindi. I asked her, "How do you know Hindi?" She said, "By watching Bollywood movies." So generally, when we go to America, people often mistake us to be Buddhist monks. So she said, "Are you a Hindu?" I said, "That was first time somebody recognized me." She says, "I have seen Hindi movies, so I know that you are a Hindu monk." It's interesting. So suppose somebody has visited a website like Bollywood.com, and maybe say they have visited 100 times. And now they come to a spiritual talk like this and they hear about Bhagavad Gita. Maybe they've heard about it before, but now they become interested in it. And they want to know more about Bhagavad Gita. So at that time, they go to their device, they open their browser, and they type Bhagavad Gita. When they type B, what happens? Yeah, Bollywood comes as a autocomplete. Now they may not want to go to Bollywood at that particular point, but it still comes as an autocomplete. So it is not that the device is bad. It's not that the device, sometimes we say device is the cause of vice. So vice is lust, anger, greed. Sometimes now the device is not the cause so much, it is more a channel. So the vice is there inside us. But anyway, my point is that it is not the device is bad, but what we have visited before, our browser history is stored, and then that comes as an autocomplete. So in many ways, our mind works like a browser. So everything that we do, that gets stored in the mind. So what is like the browser history is the same as the mind's samskara. So for example, if we are upset with someone, and when we are upset with someone, one part of us may say, yell at that person, shout at that person, hit that person. Another part of us may say, let's try to calm down. Maybe take a few deep breaths, count till 10. We walk away from there. We'll deal with this when we are calmer. Suppose we give it to the person, which part of us which says, shout at it. Maybe hit the person. Now when we do it for the first time, afterward we say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean anything bad. Please excuse me, please forgive me. And we may be forgiven. Or sometimes if we are more powerful and other person is very scared of us, don't tell anyone, otherwise I'll show you what I can do really. And maybe that person doesn't tell anyone and we think I can get away with it. Now when this happens, we may get away from the external consequence, but actually internally that samskar is formed. It's like in our mind's browser history that has been stored. And next time, when we feel irritated, we feel upset, again, the tendency to yell will come. The tendency to maybe hit the other person will come. So everything that we do, that creates an impression within us. So basically, the sequence is, you could say there is action. The action has an outer result. The outer result may be that, like, if we hit someone and it's reported to the authorities, then maybe we are punished for that. That's the outer result. Now, sometimes the outer result may not come immediately, but there is a inner result. And the inner result is that an impression. So if you consider This is the mind. On the mind, an impression, a samskar is formed. And from that samskar comes a proposition. Like when I type B, the browser gives a proposition. Okay, go to Bollywood.com. Now that proposition leads to a repetition of the action. Now when there is repetition, then again there could be an outer result, but there is also an inner result. Now what is the inner result? The samskar actually becomes doubled. It's like, say, if somebody has visited Bollywood.com once, then if they type B, Bollywood might come as autocomplete. But if they visit 100 times, maybe they don't even have to type B. Bollywood.com is their homepage only. As soon as they open the browser, automatically they go straight to Bollywood.com only. So it's almost like over a period of time, the samskaras become so deep that between the action and the proposition, there is no time at all. So this is the stage of addiction. Addiction means what has happened is the thought comes inside and immediately action happens. One doesn't even think whether I should do this or not do it. And as neuroscience is advancing, it is being found more and more. Neuroscience is the study of the brain. In neuroscience, it's been found that people who are addicted, actually their brain wiring is different from the way the brain wiring is there for ordinary people. So basically in our brain there are synapses, there are brain cells, and the brain cells link at a particular point called synapses, the dendrites and synapses. So the neurons that fire together wire together, and when they get wired together, then that kind of thinking, that kind of emotion, that kind of action becomes almost automatic. So this is how basically when we act once, twice, thrice, 4 times, then that kind of action not only becomes easy, there are 2 things that happen through repetition. On one side, that same action becomes easy, but not doing the same action, that ends up becoming difficult. So if somebody has devices, now here you have rules that you don't have devices, and sometimes you feel they are deprived of devices. And yes, there may be some truth to that. But what is a very much a danger is if somebody has devices, is constantly keep using the device, and then they just can't stop using the device. There was a survey in America where there a kid said that some thief came and they said, "We'll take away your phone." He said, "I don't mind losing my hand, but I don't want to lose my phone." Now it's okay, a phone is important, but a hand is a much more valuable thing. But you may have heard also about how sometimes people try to take risky selfies, and they may be at the edge of a cliff and something that take a selfie. So now what happens is, they say, who's going to be so foolish? Yeah, most people would not be that foolish. But once one has the habit, okay, I want to take a sensational selfie. So one sensational selfie, second sensational selfie, third sensational selfie, the samskar is formed. And once this impression is formed, then even when they go to a beautiful hill station, their focus is not so much on looking at the beauty of the hill station, their focus is on telling others that I saw this beauty. So because of that, what happens? They start doing things which are much more risky than otherwise. So the samskaras are formed within inside us. And when these samskaras are formed, when these impressions are formed, they lead us to do actions even without our wanting to. Even when we want to do something different. So like I want to go to visit bhagavata.com, but as soon as I type B, Bollywood comes as autocomplete. So now what is the solution over here? See, sometimes we may all decide I want to do something. Maybe I want to exercise regularly. I want to have a regular study habit. I want to do this regularly, that regularly. But we resolve to do it, but sometimes we may not be able to do it. And we sometimes think, okay, I just don't have enough willpower. If only I had more willpower, I would be able to do it. And yes, there is some truth to that. But actually, willpower is important, but there is something much more important. Much more important than willpower here is wisdom. Wisdom about how things happen in the inner world. Like if somebody's device has Bollywood as an autocomplete, and they say, okay, I'm not going to visit Bollywood.com, I'm not going to visit Bollywood.com. But that is the home page, or that is just coming as autocomplete. And by their determination, I don't want to visit Bollywood.com. That autocomplete is not going to change. By their willpower, their browser history is not going to be deleted. Their browser history is going to be as it is. Now, with respect to our devices, we can delete our browser history. We can format our device only. We can get a new device. But with respect to our mind, none of these options are there. There is no deleting, there is no formatting, there is no replacing. There is none of these possible for us. So, what can we do then? The only thing possible for us is rewriting. Like say somebody has visited Bollywood.com. Then if they want to visit Bhagavad-Gita.com, they have to type BHAGAVADGITI. Now this is 12 letters. For somebody, just one click and go to Bollywood.com, typing 12 letters can seem like lifting a 100 kg weight. Who will type 12 letters? But it do that. Now, if somebody just does that 5 times, 10 times, then what happens by that? Then next time when they type B, then still Bollywood.com might be the first autocomplete. But at least Bhagavad-Gita.com will come as a second autocomplete. And if they keep visiting Bhagavad-Gita.com, maybe they visit 50 times, then what will happen? Bhagavad-Gita.com will become the first autocomplete. So basically, this is all the magic of repetition. So rather than focusing on willpower, I will not do this, I will not do this, just focus on repetition. Instead of saying what I will not do, just focus on doing the right thing. Now, in between, suppose somebody is not attentive and they visit Bollywood.com. Okay, you went there, not such a big deal. Okay, as soon as you realize, come back from there, visit Bhagavad-Gita.com. So, say whenever we feel a little down, think, okay, what when I feel down? I'll just take a blanket and go to sleep, or I'll just become sullen and sulky and disagreeable, or maybe if I feel down, maybe I can sing some kirtan, maybe I can go for a walk in nature, take some deep breaths, calm me down, calm down. So try to, rather than, see, when you talk about repetition, what is our focus? Not so much fighting against an unhealthy behavior or unhealthy habit. If somebody is just simply focusing, I don't want to go to Bollywood.com, I don't want to go to Bollywood.com, that is not going to change the browser history. So this is not very helpful actually. But if one is fighting to build a healthy habit, okay, whenever possible, let me go to Bhagavad-Gita.com. Whenever possible, let me do something positive. So then what will happen is, this healthy habit will work for us. Say now, sometimes when you go to college, you might be in previous school, there might be some kids who are bullies. Now suppose there is a small kid and there's a big bully, and that bully terrorizes the small kid. Now if this is a small kid over here, and there's a huge bully, and this bully terrorizes this kid, says, okay, tomorrow I'm going to the gym and I will push weights and then I'll beat up this bully. Well, that's possible, but that's going to take a long time. So instead of focusing on fighting against this bully, if this person makes friends with another strong person, then what will happen is he will deal with that person. So rather than fighting against a bully, we fight to make friends with somebody who just as strong or stronger than the bully. And then that friend will deal with the bully. So, like that, this bully is our unhealthy habit. So, instead of trying to fight against the unhealthy habit, this friend is the healthy habit. So, fight to build this healthy habit and let your healthy habit fight against the unhealthy habit. It's like if somebody focuses just on getting Bollywood.com out, it's not going to work. But let me visit Bhagavita.com again and again and again. And then Bhagavita.com will come as the first autocomplete, Bollywood.com will automatically go down. So basically, the Bhagavita.com is fighting against Bollywood.com in your browser history. That's coming first. So when say you wake up in the morning, you chant Hare Krishna, say 4 rounds, you do Aarti, you might feel, oh, this is all such a burden. Why do I have to do this every day? But this is creating good samskars in your mind. And we may not immediately realize what is the point of all this. But all these impressions, they are healthy impressions inside us. And these healthy impressions will prompt us towards healthy choices. So whenever we find that maybe if we are doing our chanting regularly, if we are doing our spiritual practices regularly, then this will help us to make better choices. If you will find that if you are able to create these good impressions in the early morning, then during the day, the unhealthy impressions will not push you so much. Okay, when somebody annoys us, rather than getting irritated, rather than getting angry, we'll be able to deal with it more calmly. So, bhakti is basically about changing the impressions inside us. So, the whole point of sometimes the word rituals is used negatively. But rituals, what they do is they are time tested methods to tap the power of repetition. Like in some forming samskaras, repetition is more important. See, in one sense, the browser doesn't care whether you are interested in bhagavad-gita.com or not. We just visit bhagavad-gita.com and it will save that. Okay, you visit bhagavad-gita.com, that will save the browser history and that will come again. So similarly, in one sense, our mind is like a machine. And if we just repeat something regularly enough, then that creates an impression. That's why now psychologists vary in this, but those who study the brain science, they say that you want to create a new habit, just try to repeat something for 21 days. The specific numbers may vary, 40 days, 15 days, 21 days. But the principle is, now, why should the specific days vary? It depends on how deep the previous impression was. Say if somebody had visited Bollywood.com 10 times, now they go to Bhagavita.com 10 times and Bollywood.com goes back completely. But somebody had visited Bhagavita.com 10,000 times. And then they visit Bhagavita.com 10 times, still Bollywood.com remains the first only. So sometimes some habits may take more time to change. But the repetition is the key. So the more we keep repeating doing something, and if we have a structure, if we have, like you have a disciplined structure over here of living, which helps you to repeat regularly. At this point, it might seem, oh, why do I have to do all this? But this is actually changing your mind for your better. It is creating impressions that will help us in our life's journey wherever we go. So I'll summarize what I discussed. I discussed 3 main points. Broadly, I was talking about mind management or bhakti for mind management. The first was I talked about how impressions are formed. So impressions or samskaras are like the browser history, and this becomes our default behavior. Default behavior means it happens just even if we don't want to. And here, willpower, it's important, but much, much more important is wisdom. Willpower is, I will not do this, and then we beat up. Why did I do this? But instead, wisdom. Wisdom is, okay, what is exactly happening? My willpower is not going to change my browser history. So the browser history is going to say the same. So with respect to the mind as browser, what we can't do is, we can't delete. Deleting is not possible, formatting is not possible, but what is possible? Rewrite. So rewriting is possible. But for rewriting, what is the wisdom? The wisdom is we focus on the power of repetition. Rather than worrying, oh, why did I do like that? And why am I not able to stop doing like that? Just focus on doing the right thing. So we all need to fight, but don't fight against the unhealthy habit. Fight for building a healthy habit. So once we build a healthy habit, that healthy habit will fight against the unhealthy habit. Just like a bully, instead of fighting the bully of ourselves, we fight to build a friendship with another strong person and let that person deal with the bully. So this is what Bhakti, and especially the rituals, what we call as rituals in Bhakti, they are time-honored ways of tapping the power of repetition. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Yes, please.
So thank you, Guruji. So like you said, we should not fight bad habits. But for example, here we don't.
I didn't say we should not fight. I said we should not focus on fighting with the bad habits. We certainly have to fight, but the primary focus should not be, oh, when will I give this up? When will I give this up? When will I give this up?
So just to give an example, although we don't allow gadgets, but sometimes we find children they suddenly bring gadgets, or if they somehow sneak in, or they go home and use gadgets. So that time, then they invariably go to, because of the word sanskar or whatever, they go to bad websites, sometimes pornography, this and that. So in that sense, what is a good habit they should focus on in order to remove this bad habit?
Well, see, there is two kinds of, when Krishna talks about abhyas and vairagya, I mentioned that last time, that vairagya means distance. You remember that we keep a distance from the externals. So there are two kinds of distancing. One is categorical, the other is chronological. What do I mean by this? Categorical is that this is a category I won't get involved with. So for example, I will not use devices at all. Like some people who are maybe into alcohol, they'll say, I'll not keep any alcohol in my home. If my home is next to a bar, I'm going to relocate. If from my office to my home, there is a bar on the way, I'll go by another road. So it's like I will avoid this category entirely. Now, sometimes it is possible to do like this, but it's not always possible. Like if somebody is addicted to food, you cannot avoid all food, isn't it? So categorical avoidance or categorical distancing is not possible. So if categorical is not possible, it's chronological. Chronological means what? That we try to make the positive easier and the negative tougher. So that means in chronology, so if we have a device, say on the device on the home page, make something devotional a home page. Maybe if we like to visit YouTube, then maybe have some channels where there is night darshan or kirtan, something devotional, something sattvic. Make that as our the website, the channel that we follow. Or on our home page, have shortcuts to sites that are good. So basically, make the positive thing easier. So like if there's a, generally, if we consider with respect to food, there is food that is tasty and there is food that is healthy. Now, if these two circles were identical, life would be so easy, isn't it? The food that tastes good and the food that is good. But just because these circles are not identical doesn't mean that there is no overlap between them. Like, say, if as parents we see that we want our children to eat healthy vegetables, healthy food basically. Now, if they find that our child likes some sabji, which is also healthy, then as parents we may make more of that subject, isn't it? So if we can find something which is both healthy and tasty, something which feels good to us and is good to us, is good for us. So for all of us, sometimes we may have to go in. Now this category requires force, and we may have to go do some things. Like sometimes we eat broccoli, sometimes we eat karela. It's good for us, although it may not be what we like at all. But in general, if we can find something which falls in this category, there's something which feels good and is good, then it is easier to, with this requires force, but this is easier to go to if you want to give up the which only feels good. So if every one of us can find out what are the things that are good for me and that feel good for me. Say for example, if you consider exercise, not all of us may like all kinds of exercise. Now some people may like to go to a gym and do weights. Some people it is very tiresome. But some people say, okay, I just like want to go outdoors and I want to run. And I like the feel of fresh air, and the faster I run, I feel the fresh air more. So then if that is the exercise we like, we could do that exercise more. So basically find the intersection of what feels good and what is good. In one sense, what G. Rupa Goswami calls in a bhakti context, but you can apply this here also, this is a uddipan. Uddipan is a stimulus that is positive, healthy, spiritual. Okay. Yes, bro.
Pariksha. So totally, my first question is related to the impressions. Suppose sometimes in dreams we see things, we are in such a situation which we never experienced in the present life. So how do these situations they pop up like their previous sanskaras, or what is the combination of those neurons, or what? Just what is the combination which promotes such things, things which we see in dreams?
So dreams, it's difficult. Broadly speaking, dreams can fall in many categories. One is they are just the mind's imagination. This is what Srila Prabhupada generally said, that we might see a horse and we might see gold, and in our dream we might see a golden horse. We might see a mountain and we might see a gold bar, and we imagine a golden bar, a golden mountain. So it's just what we have experienced very differently in real life, they get combined. So that is how most dreams are likely to be. But that doesn't mean all dreams are like that. Now, some dreams, they could be even Krishna speaking to us, Krishna or Guru speaking to us. So this is rare, but it's possible. In our tradition, there are so many cases where, say, Madhavendra Puri is a saint whom Krishna came in a dream. That's also possible for us. Now, in between, the Baldev Vidyabhushan is a prominent acharya in our tradition. He explains that dreams can be the place where minor karma plays out. That means, what does minor karma mean? See, we all have some karma from our past. So that karma plays out in our life. Say we're just going out for a walk, and suddenly we slip and fall, and where we fall there is a sharp stone and we get injured. Now, why did we fall at that particular place? We could have fallen in some other place also. Well, maybe we were inattentive, but we fell at that particular place. The injury became much more. So that happens. We can say it's because of our past karma. So, in general, what happens to us in our waking life is a result of our past karma. But if there is a minor past karmas, their reactions can come to us in our dreams. Like some people have nightmares. And I was in Canada, I met one person. He said that I'm afraid to sleep. I said, there are different kinds of fears.
There's a boy in our school also.
Is it,
He's
huh?
afraid to sleep.
Because of nightmares?
He says, if I sleep, I get all kinds of nightmares. He doesn't sleep.
Oh.
He's into antidepressant drugs and all that.
Yeah, it's difficult. So then we understand that this is a result of some negative karma from the past, because of which, see, most of us, like most of our daily events, There's nothing very special positive, nothing very special negative. It's like that. Like that, most of us, when we sleep, we may have dreams, but most of the dreams are so unremarkable that we don't even remember them most of the times. But sometimes they may be wonderful, sometimes they may be dreadful. So so when dreams come, quite often it is negative karma playing out. Now, negative karma could be in terms of just karma. The word karma has two different meanings. Karma can mean reactions to actions. Karma can also mean actions. So, like we also do some karma, that's actions. So now minor karma plays out. That is from sometimes from the past life, certain things come up. But in another way, this can play out is that unfulfilled cravings from the waking state. So something can be from the previous life, something can be from this life also. So if somebody has strong craving for something in the waking state, then they may dream about it in the sleeping state, and sometimes that may also lead to some physiological effects. So that's also possible. um, if that kind of problem is there, sometimes having doing some Narsimha Arti or something like that before sleeping, having a picture of Narsimha Dev or reciting Narsimha Kavach, that has been found to be quite helpful. Or maybe just if that person can have a earphone and they can sleep with the earphone where Narsimha Arti is going on continuously on some device, or that can be tried out if it helps. I found 2 3 devotees it helps, but you can't always 2 3 people it has helped. But there is no like one formula that can work for everyone. We have to see what works. The mind is quite a tricky thing.
Actually, my question somehow it was not completed the answer. The device thing you asked, no, that.
So I said either we have to either see, like what you are doing over here is categorical blinding,
Yes.
categorical removal, avoidance.
Now,
But
when they get a chance, they go home or something. So, in that situation, what is the advice for them?
so that's what I said, that if whatever devices they have, if they can try to keep some positive websites easily available for them, so then even if the urge comes to visit some negative websites, the positive options are easily available. Then it's easier to resist the negative websites.
So that experience we should give them here, positive experience in devices. Then they will go for that.
I don't have positive experience in devices, but just the positive experience about, say, if we hear some nice soothing kirtans, we feel good, and that is available on the whether to give the positive experience through devices or just to give positive experience. That is something which is more of a practical decision.
Sometimes we are facing one problem. Like children have been, they've been going to various sites and all that. And but then they will not let you have any clue that they are doing such a thing. Except for the scores, when you see the examination performance and all. So we keep saying, oh, you're not studying. It's not studying. It's like something is acting on them, which they are doing it illegally. How, as teachers, would be able to tackle this problem? This is becoming really a menace for us.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's in many ways, I feel that our technology has become too powerful for our morality in today's world. So we can't really blame the children only. It's like, say, if somebody is a food addict, somebody is a sugar addict, and that person is told you have to sell sweets and don't eat anything, it's going to be extremely difficult for them. So, I mean, the human mind is not designed to be used or not designed to be exposed to the level of temptation that it is being subjected to now. So I think we need to be more sympathetic rather than simply strict. Because it's a very complex situation. And we may say our children are doing the same thing, but if we were children at this age, we might very well have been doing the same things. Okay, it's not charging. Okay, I forgot to charge it. Anyway,
Acha, you did. Did you put the charger?
I'll do that, no problem. So the first thing is that don't be too harsh if that happens. Don't be too harsh with the children. That's understandable. But within that, it's not here. If we can create some more, see, it's almost like, yeah, let it be. It's almost like we all have a tendency to do something of value. Like we may say that the kid's attention span is going down, they're distracted, which is true, but on the other side, if you see, our children, the IQ level is increasing with every generation. It's a significant increase. And that's why if you even see the video games that kids play nowadays, that if we try to play those video games, they're so complex. It's like this, so many things are happening. So in some ways, we can say that actually real life is not stimulating enough for the children. Rather than saying that they're simply getting distracted, it's like ADHD is a problem. But another level is their minds work so fast that real life is not stimulating enough for them. So this is,
I mean to say there is, um, we are not giving them the challenges
yeah,
to use their
it's
intelligence
it's
in
like,
the right way.
yeah, I know one friend. He had an IQ like 173 or something like that, and he went to a college, and his parents were not very well to do. He did not get a scholarship, so he went to normal college, and he was just completely bored in that college. And finally, he got permission from his teacher that while the class was going on, he would solve crossword puzzles. And even while solving crossword puzzles, he was more attentive for the class than when he was than other students. And he said because he was solving crossword puzzles, he said I can focus on the class. Others he couldn't because he has that level of brain, he needs that level of engagement. So it's somehow, there are some approaches where we just remove all technology and just give traditional education, and that can work. But I feel that if the children have already been exposed to technology, are already being exposed to technology, then it becomes difficult. If you can cut off the children completely from technology for the purpose of education, then the natural way of education may work very effectively because it has worked from timeless from a long, long time. But if on one side there is huge amount of stimulation for their senses and mind, and other time there is very little stimulation, it does become difficult.
How to
So
wean them out.
So, so yeah, so basically, see the word dharma, Krishna uses in two senses in the Bhagavad Gita. One is individual, the other is social. Like Krishna tells Arjuna, Prachami tvam dharma sammuda cheta. Arjuna asks, what is the right thing for me to do? And Krishna says, dharma samsthapana arthaya, where this I come to establish dharma at the level of society. So I think we need to work at both levels, at an individual level and at a institutional or social level. So at an individual level, whether we can educate them more, facilitate them more, maybe talk with their parents, maybe help them see in their own terms, that in terms that they can understand. I saw in when I was in UK recently, there was one viral Insta reel of one Indian boy in UK. He was what was he like recited the decimal value of pi till 51 digits. Just so, and it was just like maybe four and a half or five or something like that, not five, maybe six, seven, seven. And his parents were telling that he has never used any cell phone. So, and that inspired many kids. Oh, really? Somebody can do that. So rather than the parents saying don't do this, if you can follow in a parichaya, if you can show them the fruits, so that can be helpful. So basically, individually facilitate, individually encourage them, but collectively also we need to facilitate them. But it is a difficult challenge. I don't think there are any easy answers. Any other questions? Yes, please.
So when we are studying, while we are studying, many times there are a lot of distractions. So how can we focus on study or anything we are doing for a long time?
Well, don't worry about a long time. Start with a small time. That means, like I said, the impressions are there in the mind. You can sit down comfortably. So just plan that, okay, for the next 5 minutes, I'm just going to read this book, nothing else. So next 3 hours, I'm not going to read anything else. Minus the 3 hours is just too long. So it'll say, forget it. Maybe start with 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And if you're able to do it for 10 minutes, then appreciate yourself. Good job. Encourage yourself. That, okay, now let's do it for 10 more minutes. Maybe in between, if you want to take a few deep breaths, maybe close your eyes for a few minutes. So basically, try to, when something seems very big, break it down into small things. Like if you have to eat a watermelon, somebody gives a full watermelon, open your mouth, can't eat it. But break it down into small, shanai shanai ruparamait. Krishna says, small, gradually, step by step. So see how much we can do. And then gradually the capacity will increase. Like when we are weightlifting, no, we can't, if we are habituated to lifting 20 kg weight. Suddenly if we go, we can't lift 50 kg weight. From 20, 21, 22, 25, gradually it will increase. Okay? Thank you.
I have one more question. See, what will happen if somebody does first, firstly he listens to the good part of his mind and stays calm while something has happened wrong to him, and the next time he does something bad, he listens to his bad part of the mind, shouting at the boy or
Yeah, so in between, see, both create impressions. So it's just because the second time we did something bad does not necessarily mean that the first time we did good is wasted. The first time we did good, that also created good impression. Like sometimes we say that, okay, I made a resolution, I'll never do it again, something again. But 30 days I stuck to the resolution, then I failed. It's all useless. No, 30 days that is stuck to it, that has created an impression. And that is helpful. That is going to help us. But generally speaking, we will go up and down. So don't be too harsh about it. It may not change overnight. Because at that particular moment, what are we going through? Sometimes if say we have heard a nice class or we are in a good frame of mind, then when somebody irritates us, we may not get agitated, we not react angrily. But maybe next time we are already exhausted, we are already somewhat upset by something, and that person does something, we explode. So there are many factors involved. But the key thing is just keep repeating. And if it's the same person or similar situation, then in between we need to process. It's like, okay, when this happens, what can I do? Maybe I need to talk with that boy first and try to develop a good relationship. Maybe I need to report to someone else. Or maybe if I'm going in this situation, then uh, let me take someone else with me who will calm me down. So basically, it's not just, we don't want to keep repressing. Oh, I will not do this, I'll not do this. Or I'll only do this. If there is some anger or irritation, we also have to go to the root cause and address it. Okay, if this person is behaving in a way that is making me angry, then I need the solution of restraint at that time. I don't want to explode. But then I also want a long-term solution where that particular problem doesn't keep recurring again and again. Okay? Thank you so much.
one of your friends have gone through the IQ and he will concentrate on his studies while doing lots of projects. But that's not everyone or everybody. But how can we get interested in studies while teaching teaching us in class? Sometimes we get so much sleep and we get sleep and we all problem of physics.
Yeah, it's difficult. See, each one of us has to find out how our mind works. So sometimes, when we are hearing a class, try to, it's like, say, if you are doing mountain climbing, or not mountain climbing, wall climbing, this game, where, you are holding here and you pull up from here. Then the next pull point is not there. It may be over there. Then you find something and pull yourself up over there. Then we pull from here. Then we pull from here. So like that, when we are reading or hearing a class, we have to find some point of interest. So interest is two ways. One is interest that comes naturally and interest that is cultivated intentionally. So some things naturally interest us. They say if somebody, now I'm speaking this class, if I give some example which is a little dramatic, some story which is about something, that story that's natural interest. But some other things, a little more concept, a little more analysis. You may have to focus to create interest. So basically, interest works both ways. It is natural and cultivated. So we all need to find out something which is a natural interest to us. So, and sometimes we have to cultivate interest. So basically, if we are studying in a class, then maybe before, if we are attending a class, maybe before we start a class, we maybe think, okay, why is this class important for me? What do I like about this class? What is interesting for me? And maybe have some notepad. If it's a particular subject, write down 2 3 points about why this is interesting or what is interesting for you. And before you start attending the class, just read those points. Oh, I'm studying history and I found this battle very interesting, or this particular king very interesting. And then when you hear something new, try to connect with that. Hey, this is similar like this is similar like this. So basically, we cannot conscious always depend on natural interest, but at the same time we cannot always be just cultivating interest. So there has to be both. It's like I can push myself and hold myself, but there has to be something which I can hold on to also. So the existing points which I can hold on to, the bars or the nails or the holes, there have to be something which I can hold on to. And after that I can pull myself up. So the points you're already there to hold on to, that is like natural interest. And then after that I pull myself up till I find the next point to hold on to. That is the cultivated interest. So we need both. Is it clear what I'm saying? It's a little complicated.
And easy. How can
Cultivate.
cultivate?
No, cultivate interest means you have to just hear. Let me see, is there something interesting in this? Like it's cultivating interest is more like force. Force yourself to be attentive till we find something interesting within it. But the natural interest means something which just catches our attention. Thank you. Okay. Yes.
Even if we study for 2 or 3 hours constantly, but we can't study efficiently.
See, so that's why I said that each one of us has to sit down. Each one of us has to find out how we work the best. So we have to see how, maybe if you're studying for 3 hours, some people just, okay, I sit down and go on a marathon and just complete this. And I get a sense of accomplishment by that. But some people, okay, I studied this, just keep pushing myself. It's like I'm going through the motions, but nothing is going inside. So maybe there I need to stop and work. Maybe I need to have some breaks and work accordingly. So each one of us is different. And it is important to do some atma nirikshan, self-observation. How do I work the best? Like some students may study together. I study with somebody else and I see the other person studying and that helps me. Some people may find studying alone is where I get focused most. So observe yourself and see what works best for you.
How to keep our mood constantly good?
Well, that's too difficult. It's not that our mood will always be good, but over a period, you remember last time I talked about those diagrams, sine wave, up and down, up and down. You can sit down. Over a period of time, we'll find that the down of the sine wave will not go so much down. So rather than thinking that my mood should never go down, rather try to keep it within boundaries. Even if it goes down, let it not stay down permanently. It will rise up. So sometimes we can be consistent, always stay at the same level. But if we can't be consistent, then we can be resilient. Resilient means I go down, I rise up again. It's like if I have a ball and the ball is thrown down, the ball will go down, but it will bounce back. If I take a glass paperweight and throw it down, it will go down, it will crack apart. So we can't stay up like an object over here. A ball can fall down, a glass weight can fall down. So like that, it's very difficult for us to stay consistent. We'll all go down, but we can try to be resilient. Okay, that time I didn't feel that good, but let me pick myself up now. Let me move up now. Okay.
This is one example like Radhakant Prabhuji, director sir says he won't attend a class, but he will read. Half an hour also he will read with such a concentration that he will be able to reproduce everything. He will be sitting for 2 hours class and 15 minutes will be able to only recall everything. So that is again a question of concentration of what they are doing.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a good
But how
example.
there is
Interesting.
in student life ups and downs. In student life, how ups and downs come. But there is
How?
no here there is no distraction. Except sleep. But when you study, we keep our focus and the room is silent. So how our mind diverts. Even we are thinking about the subject.
Yeah,
But
see, it's sometimes the disturbance comes from external conditions, but we all have internal conditionings.
no, it is like some you can't study properly. Even there is no thoughts coming, but you can't study properly.
We all have to find out some ways. Maybe then one thing which is being increasingly tried out in schools, and even if is read aloud. Normally, we are recommended to read in the mind so that you can read faster, and that is true. But sometimes you're not able to focus. Just read aloud. If you're not going to disturb anyone else, reading aloud, it may be slow, but at least we are reading, and you'll find that you are able to absorb yourself.
I
So
do not read loudly, but I try to
no,
write down.
I'm saying that read aloud is an example. You can find out something. You see, each one of us has to be creative. Maybe say not able to focus. Maybe I'll read for 2 minutes. I close my eyes and I'll try to recollect one point that I read. So see, you have to see that. Be creative. What works for you? So if you say writing down, okay, writing down. What can I write down? So maybe I'll write down an important point, write down a striking point, or write down maybe I read something and just try to, like I said, what you said about developing interest. We have to create some challenge for ourselves. So when we do that, once you start going in this direction, you'll find so many ideas will come. Maybe you read something and think, okay, if I have to draw a diagram explaining it, how will I do it? I don't spend 2 hours in thinking of a diagram. Just what comes in the mind immediately. Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may not be good. Just try to be a little creative.
Mr. Rosie, my question is that sometimes our teachers become angry on us and we try to say sorry to them, but our just mind did not allow us to do that. And saying sorry is a good thing, but we become scared that time. Why?
We become scared of the teachers and don't say sorry because of that.
Whenever we think that we have to say sorry to our teachers, and our mind did not allow us to do that.
Isn't allowed.
Why
Okay.
we become scared that time?
Okay, see, and sit down, be comfortable. It's like our mind, there is a part of it which you can control, part of it which we can't control. It's like, in some ways, the mind is like the body. Like, say, some people, when the temperature drops, it becomes cold. Some people, a little drop in temperature, they immediately want some sweater or something. Some others, it drops a lot of temperature, still, they're quite okay. So, different bodies are made differently. So, like that, different minds are made differently. So, in some minds, fear may come to a little degree. Some minds, fear may come to a large degree. So, each one of us, okay, this is the way my mind works. Okay, we just observe it, we understand it, and maybe if it happens at that time, then we can't say sorry. Just at least with our actions, with our expression, whatever way we can, show that we are not just being arrogant, show that we are not just being disrespectful or negligent. And later on, we can explain. My mind just goes blank at such times. I can't think of anything. I did not mean to say sorry. Just couldn't think about it. So maybe at that time, if we can't say sorry, we can just write that down and offer that as an apology, and then later on we can do it. See, the idea is that like, I'm a writer and I'm a speaker. And now I know some of my friends who are very good writers, but they are not very good speakers. So they say that I can think better by writing than by speaking. So quite often, if they have to do interviews, they say that you ask me the questions and I'll type the answers. Who will type the answer? It takes so much time. But they feel that I can, if I type, I can. So they don't like to do oral interviews. They say we'll do written interviews. Some others say, "Hey, interview, who has the time to type anything? You just send it written to me. You just speak it." So each of us has to work the way our mind works. Work with our mind, basically. Thank you. Okay.
But yeah, one question. Sometimes our mind is like it thinks for so many unreasonable things. So what should
Say many unreasonable.
unreasonable things? Our mind is very
No, we are saying unreasonable means so many unreasonable things. Means you are saying so many unreasonable things happen, or they are small things, but our mind is getting unreasonably irritated about them. They are small things, but our mind is making it big. Like that? Okay. So it's a sincere question.
It's great six. It's a great six.
Oh, okay. So good. So see, the thing is, it's like if you probably know about a computer. If you're on a phone, say we are having a phone, and sometimes some window just opens, and then like sometimes some app is there, and it has advertisement with it, and sometimes some pop-up comes. There doesn't seem to be any minimize button only.
Yes, exactly.
Isn't it like the minimize button is of the same color as the background? You can't even see the minimize button. Hmm? So sometimes our mind is like that, and some pop-ups come, they become so big, they fill the full mind, and you just can't find any way to minimize it. So what do you do at that time? If you can't find any minimize it, you just shift to some other app, put that app in the background, and then you maximize that app. So like that, sometimes we can't make a thing which has become big in the mind small, but we can find something big. Okay, that this is okay. This small thing is annoying me so much, but is there something more important for me? Maybe find out something which you like to do and is also good for you, and try to bring that into your mind. So don't try to get this out of your mind. Try to get something. If you maximize something else, this will automatically get minimized. So if you focus on minimizing it, it doesn't work. So find out something which you can maximize. Maybe if you like to draw, then at that time just start drawing something. If you like to write something, just even if it's a scribble, doodle, start doing something which you like to do. Maybe you like to sing, like to recite some shlokas. Have something in the mind. Just start with something, and then gradually that will get maximized. So we can't always minimize, but we can always have the option to maximize something else. Okay. Thank you. Oh, okay.
Before a class starts, why do you decide not to attend it? Listen to your back part of the brain while that's it.
Okay. Why do you feel like not attending a class? Well, there are two reasons. One is that our mind likes to be lazy. Hmm? It always chooses the path of least resistance. So, because of the laziness, that's one thing.
Here the answer. Okay.
Have a
And
discussion.
sorry.
First listen to this answer, and you will have not put your glasses.
Okay. So, so it's like our mind is sometimes lazy, so it needs to be pushed. Hmm? But Krishna also says in the Gita that there are many things, good things, which taste like poison in the beginning. They don't feel very good in the beginning, but they start feeling good eventually. So that's just the nature of the way things are. That sometimes we have to push through the poison. We push through, then the nectar, then the positive starts coming up. So, like say, if you wake up in the morning, the first thing is if the alarm rings, turn it off. That's our tendency. Now, very few people, as soon as the alarm comes, jump out of the bed happily. It doesn't work like that. Very few people. But if you wake up, maybe you freshen up, take a bath, then gradually you start feeling better. Get a head start in the morning when we start our day. That's positive. So so know that we don't feel like doing it initially, but that feeling will not be there constantly. It's like mysterious when if you have to lift up a heavy weight. You think, oh, this is like 15 kg, 20 kg, how will I lift it? But it's like you try lifting it, the more you lift it, you find the weight decreases. So it's like that. It's like poison in the beginning, but gradually it will become like nectar. So what the mind says, I don't want to do this initially. You just push yourself a little bit, mind will start liking it. Okay? Thank you.
Sometimes when they read
We feel that we cannot do this. We discouraged. How can we stop?
Yeah, if you feel discouraged, then two things. One is either we have to find someone who will encourage us, or we have to find something from our past that will encourage us. Okay, I feel I can't do this. But then last time I was trying that, I also felt I couldn't do it. But I was able to do it. So either we find something from our past that encourages us, or we have some friend, some teacher, some guide who encourages us. So discouragement is there has to be encouragement, either externally or internally. Thank you. Good questions. Should we stop here, bro?
We have to go.
Okay.
Okay, last.
Yes, yes, please. The more we go away from technology, the more it attracts. Yes, that is true. But the more we go toward technology, also the more it attracts. Like that's how addiction also happens. Now. So it's like sometimes the more technology you use, the more the samskaras are created, and the more it can infatuate us. So you can sit down. So there is no easy solution to it. It is that if our focus is on going away from technology, then we'll keep remembering technology. But if our focus is not so much on going away from technology, it is more on going towards something, then that creates its attraction. Like say, when the satellites are launched, India had the Chandrayaan recently. So now if the Earth's gravity field is there, the satellite has to go out of the Earth's gravity field. That requires a lot of effort. But once it is gone out of the Earth's gravity field, then it's in space, it does not require that much effort. Bacteria doesn't require much effort at all. Just keeps moving. Some fuel is required, but then eventually, if it enters into the moon's gravity field, then it'll just get pulled by that gravity field, isn't it? So, like that, we can say technology has a gravity field. And to come out of the gravity field of technology requires effort. And the further we go up, it seems requires more and more effort. But if our focus is also in going into the gravity field of something, say for example, if you decide, okay, I will go out in the nature for a walk, and then you look at how peaceful and vast the sky is, what kind of birds are there, what kind of flowers are there, what kind of fruits are there, what kind of trees are there, and then slowly we develop attraction for that. Then we get into the gravity pull of that. And when we get into the gravity pull of that, then like once if somebody comes in the moon's gravity pull, then the Earth's gravity pull is no longer effective. So like that, don't focus on what we are going away from, focus on what we are going toward. So if you have something positive to go towards, we cannot have our focus on avoiding technology. That cannot, okay, if I'm not having technology, what am I doing with my time? We plan something, okay, I'll do some exercise, I'll do some book reading, I'll spend some time I would make good friendships with the friends around me. There's so much to do in real life. When we are doing that, then we can come out of the gravity pull. So thank you very much. Very wonderful questions, all of you.
You have to go to Delhi now.
Yeah, I'd prefer to if possible.
So you have to go to Delhi now. Yeah. There's a class tomorrow early morning there. So
I'll take along the way. Thank you. So maybe while going along, we can talk.
okay. So while Roji is going to the car, let's thank
Thank you.
Roji for his precious time and his wonderful session. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Thank you so much. Roji.
Thank you so much. Prabhupada ki, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki, Jai. Gaur Praman.